Why do some families get richer with each generation, while others have to start from zero every single time? It's not luck, and it's not about having the highest paying job. The truth is, wealth that lasts is built on repeatable principles that anyone, anywhere in the world, can use. I'm Fahad, a business consultant with over a decade of experience helping real people create lasting wealth. And in this video, I'm going to break down a practical roadmap, backed by real families, not theory, that can help you start building wealth that outlives you. So if you're serious about securing your family's future and learning proven strategies from around the globe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's start with a common myth, that wealth is all about income. People assume the more money you earn, the richer you'll become. But if that were true, every high-earning professional, doctors, lawyers, executives, would automatically be wealthy. And we know that's not the case. Many of them struggle financially, living paycheck to paycheck, even with six-figure salaries. Why? Spending rises just as fast, bigger houses, fancier cars, luxury vacations. Instead of money flowing into assets that grow, it disappears into things that lose value the moment you buy them. High income doesn't equal wealth, disciplined habits and a long-term system do. Now let me share a real story. The Johnson family lived on modest incomes. Together, they started with only $500 in savings. Instead of chasing status or comparing themselves to neighbors, they focused on three simple principles: living below their means, investing consistently, and teaching their kids the value of money. Every month, no matter how small the amount, they set aside money for investments. At first, it looked insignificant. What difference could $50 or $100 make? But over years, that discipline compounded. They bought dividend-paying stocks, built a small rental property fund, and most importantly, involved their children in the process. They explained how saving worked, how investments grew, and why patience mattered more than instant gratification. Fast forward 15 years, they now have a solid investment portfolio, their kids are financially literate, and their family's net worth grows steadily year after year. Notice something important here: nothing magical happened. They didn't win the lottery, they didn't have high incomes, and they didn't get lucky. What they had was mindset and habits. And that's the foundation of generational wealth. It doesn't start with $1 million, it starts with a shift in thinking. If your mindset changes, your habits change. And if your habits change, your future changes. Let's begin with the first pillar: compound interest. Albert Einstein famously called it the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. Compound interest is what turns small, consistent investments into life-changing wealth. Here's a simple story. Meet Sarah. She's 25 years old, and she decides to invest $200 every single month into a simple index fund with an average return of 8% per year. Doesn't sound like much, right? But here's the math: by the time Sarah turns 65, she'll have invested a total of about $96,000 of her own money. But thanks to compound growth, her account will be worth over $700,000. Now compare that to her friend David, who waits until he's 35 to start investing the same $200 a month. David invests for 30 years instead of 40. His final amount at 65? Just under $300,000. Same monthly amount, but Sarah ends up with more than double simply because she started earlier. This is the power most people overlook. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. This is the part most people never actually see the math in action. So let's run it through a simple calculator, and you'll notice how small amounts can snowball into something massive. That's not theory, that's reality. Start investing now, even if it's just $50 a month. Don't wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time was yesterday. The second best time is today. The second pillar is diversification. Too many people think diversification means just owning a few different stocks, or maybe mixing crypto with some ETFs. But real diversification is much deeper. I like to use what I call the 4-bucket model. Think of your money being divided into 4 categories. 1. Emergency fund, cash savings for life's surprises. At least 3 to 6 months of expenses. This isn't about growth, it's about protection. 2. Growth assets, things like index funds and ETFs. These grow steadily over time, and they're the foundation of long-term wealth. 3. Income assets, investments that pay you regularly, like dividends, rental property, or even royalties from creative work. These provide cash flow. 4. Alternative assets, the most overlooked category, your skills, your education, even small businesses you build. These can have the highest return because no one can take them away from you. Now, let me share another case. The Martinez family. They started with just $1,000 in savings. Instead of betting it all on stocks or chasing the latest crypto trend, they used the 4-bucket model. A portion went into an emergency fund, another into low-cost index funds, another into building income through a small rental unit, and finally, they invested in themselves, taking courses and starting a side business. 12 years later, their net worth grew to $850,000. Not because of luck, not because of a lottery win, but because they diversified intelligently. Diversification isn't limited to markets. It also includes you, your skills, your education, and your business knowledge. Those can be the highest returning assets you'll ever invest in. So remember this, true diversification isn't just about markets. It's about building resilience across your whole life. Pillar 3. Multiplying income streams. You can't save your way to generational wealth. Saving is important, but let's be honest, you'll never save enough to create true financial freedom. The key is multiplying your income streams. You need to earn, invest, and create. Here's how it works in real life. Most people start with one income stream, their job. That's fine, it's the foundation. But relying on a single paycheck is risky. If that income stops, everything collapses. So the next step is building a side hustle, something that generates money outside of your main job. It could be freelancing, online consulting, tutoring, selling a product, or even creating digital content. That second stream adds resilience. Then, as your income grows, you reinvest the profits to create passive income, money that comes in whether you work or not. That could be dividends from stocks, rental income from property, or royalties from digital products like an online course or ebook. Let me give you a real example. One of my clients was earning $50,000 a year in their corporate job. Comfortable, but not wealthy. They started a side business doing marketing consulting in the evenings, which eventually brought in an extra $20,000 per year. Instead of spending that money, they invested it. They bought dividend-paying stocks, reinvested every payout, and slowly grew a small real estate portfolio. Within a few years, their total annual income jumped to over $125,000, nearly triple where they started. And the best part? A significant portion of that money now comes in passively. Passive income sounds like the end goal, and it is, but the path starts with active income. You put in the work upfront, and over time, those efforts turn into income streams that keep paying even when you're not working. The bottom line? Don't rely on one paycheck. Don't wait for passive income to magically appear. Start with your main job, add a side hustle, and then funnel those profits into passive streams. That's how families build income that compounds across generations. Pillar 4. Tax optimization and protection. Now let's talk about a pillar that most people and most financial creators completely skip: taxes and protection. And I get it, taxes don't sound exciting. But here's the reality. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you don't know how to legally keep it. Taxes matter everywhere, not just in the US or UK. Whether you live in Canada, India, Nigeria, or Brazil, governments everywhere take a piece of your income and investments. And over decades, even small tax differences can make the difference between being comfortable and being wealthy. So let's keep this simple and global. There are 3 universal strategies that apply almost anywhere. 1. Maximize retirement accounts. Most countries offer some kind of retirement savings vehicle, whether it's a 401k in the US, an ISA in the UK, an RRSP in Canada, or Provident funds in Asia and Africa. Contributing to these accounts not only reduces your taxable income today, it allows your money to grow tax-deferred for decades. 2. Use tax-advantaged vehicles. Many governments encourage investment in certain areas like education savings accounts, health savings accounts, or even small business incentives. These tools exist to help you, but most people never bother to learn about them. 3. Reinvest returns and plan your estate. Instead of cashing out gains and paying taxes immediately, reinvest them. Over decades, reinvested returns compound far more effectively. And on the protection side, basic estate planning like wills and trusts makes sure your wealth doesn't evaporate due to legal disputes, fees, or unnecessary taxes after you're gone. Let me share an example. The Chin family, living in Singapore, made very average incomes. But they consistently maxed out their CPF retirement contributions, reinvested every dividend they received, and created a simple will early on. After 20 years, their net worth was about 20% higher than their peers who earned the same, but didn't use tax optimization. No extra work, no higher income, just smarter planning. Taxes are often treated as too complex to bother with. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't need to master tax law, you just need to know the fundamentals and put them into practice. That alone can transform your long-term wealth. Taxes are one of the biggest expenses in your life. If you don't optimize them, you're leaving money on the table that could have gone to your children, your investments, and your legacy. The 5th and final pillar is one that almost nobody talks about, and yet it's the one that determines whether everything you've built actually lasts. And that is family systems and financial education. Here's the harsh truth: wealth dies if the next generation isn't prepared. You can work hard your whole life, save, invest, and build assets, but if your children, spouse, or heirs don't understand how to manage and grow that wealth, it can disappear in just a few years. In fact, research shows that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the 2nd generation and 90% by the 3rd. Not because the money wasn't there, but because the knowledge and systems weren't passed down. So how do you prevent that from happening? You build family systems. That means documenting your process, having regular family money meetings, and teaching your kids and partners how everything works. Don't wait until it's too late. Make them part of the journey right now. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools I recommend is creating a family wealth playbook. This doesn't need to be complicated. It could be a Google Doc, a shared folder, or even a handwritten notebook. Inside, you write down 1. What accounts you have and how to access them. 2. What investments you've made and why. 3. Your basic principles for spending, saving, and investing. For the long-term vision for your family's financial future. This playbook becomes a living guide that future generations can follow. Think about it. If you pass down not just money, but the knowledge of how to manage it, you give your family a permanent advantage. Let me give you a real case. The Singh family, who I worked with, decided early on to involve their kids in the family's financial journey. From the age of 10, their children joined family budgeting sessions. They learned how to track expenses, compare investments, and even helped make decisions about where to allocate savings. Today, those kids are teenagers, and they're already investing their own money and planning small business ventures. By the time they become adults, they won't just inherit wealth, they'll inherit the mindset and skills to grow it. Investing and business strategies are important, but they're only half the story. The real difference between short-term riches and lasting wealth is family and legacy systems, the tools that protect and pass on what you've built. Don't just build wealth, build systems that teach, protect, and pass it on. Talk openly about money at home. Involve your family in decisions. Document everything in your family wealth playbook. If you do that, you're not just creating wealth, you're creating a legacy. Alright, you've learned the principles, but knowledge means nothing without action. So let me give you a simple 90-day roadmap to kickstart your journey toward generational wealth. 3 months from now, you can be in a completely different position than you are today. Days 1 to 30. Start by laying the foundation. Open an investment account, whether that's a brokerage, a retirement account, or whatever platform is available in your country. Set up automatic transfers, even if it's just $25 or $50 a week. Automation beats motivation every single time. Then, track your net worth. Don't overcomplicate it, just write down what you own, what you owe, and update it monthly. This step alone shifts your mindset from random spending to intentional growth. Days 31 to 60. Now it's time to expand. Start a side hustle or commit to upskilling yourself. This could be freelancing online, learning digital marketing, or improving a trade skill, anything that increases your earning potential. At the same time, commit to investing at least $100 per month. If that feels small, that's okay. Remember compound interest, it grows. And while you're at it, review your spending. Cut out the leaks, subscriptions you don't use, lifestyle purchases that don't add value. That money should be fueling your investments, not draining them. Days 61 to 90. In the final stretch, turn your actions into systems. Increase your contributions. If you started at $100 a month, push it to $150 or $200. Begin holding family finance meetings. This could be as simple as sitting down once a week with your partner or kids to talk about money goals and decisions. And most importantly, document your process. Create your family wealth playbook, the simple record of accounts, principles, and habits that future generations can build on. And remember this, wealth isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Progress, not perfection. If you follow this roadmap, even imperfectly, you'll be miles ahead of most people in just 90 days. Consistency wins every single time. So let's wrap this up. Generational wealth isn't about getting rich quick. It's not about hype, trends, or luck. It's about building simple, repeatable systems that anyone, anywhere can follow. Systems that protect, grow, and pass on wealth so your family doesn't have to start from zero every generation. Now here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this and move on. Pick one pillar, whether it's starting your investment account, documenting your family wealth playbook, or creating a new income stream, and take action this week. Then come back here and share your step in the comments below. I reply to every single one, and I'd love to see your progress. And if you found this valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with a friend, a sibling, or a family member. Imagine if every household started practicing these principles. Together we'd create not just personal wealth, but generational strength that lifts entire communities. Let's build wealth together, one generation at a time. Finally, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next video is going to take this even further. I'll show you exactly how to automate your finances so wealth building becomes stress-free and consistent. You won't want to miss it.